Thank you very much. For those of you who may have come here in July this year, nice to see you again. When I held a press briefing similarly at the time of my resignation from the Cambodian Khmer Rouge Trials International Judge. Today I'd like to report to you my new assignment as the Board of Directors for the Trust Fund for Victims of the International Criminal Court, which I was elected a few weeks ago in The Hague in the 11th session of the Assembly of State Parties of the ICC. As you may know, the ICC is the first permanent international criminal tribunal which adjudicates criminal cases of individual responsibilities. And it was established in 1998 by the Rome Conference. Its material jurisdiction is limited to only 4 kinds of crimes. The crime of genocide, the crimes against humanity, war crimes, and most recently, the crime of aggression. These so-called core crimes, core international crimes, have been tried by several similar international criminal tribunals or so-called hybrid tribunals during the last few decades, starting from the ICTY, International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, or ICTR, International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, and hybrid courts in Cambodia, Kosovo, Sierra Leone, East Timor, and most recently in Iraq or Lebanon. The difference between these previously existing international or hybrid tribunals and the ICC is that the ICC, as a permanent court, has a jurisdiction over crimes in the past and crimes currently being committed, and also crimes to be committed in the future, with the restriction that the ICC's temporal jurisdiction covers crimes committed only after 2002, July 1st, when the Roma Statute of the ICC came into effect. One of the characteristics of the ICC is that this court intervenes in situations or cases only when relevant states is unable or unwilling to appropriately investigate and prosecute these international crimes. In that regard, the ICC is not a court which is sitting on the top of the world as a superior institution over the domestic criminal justice systems. Instead, it is a kind of last resort to intervene only when domestic legal systems do not function. But as you know, quite frequently in post-conflict situations or ongoing conflict situations commonly seen in African states for the moment. Judicial system is rarely functioning in ideal situation, ideal manner, and it is quite often difficult to expect that law enforcement or judicial function of relevant states can provide meaningful justice. And that the only opportunity for the ICC to intervene and investigate and prosecute core crimes. One of the another characteristic of the ICC is its wide range of participation of victims in the criminal proceedings and in the provision of reparations for victims. The past international or hybrid tribunals did not have a similar mechanism of sufficient participation or reparations for victims, and therefore have been sometimes criticized as being too far away from victims or victims' community. And in fact, all of these international or hybrid courts were seated far away from the victimized country, with the exception of Cambodian Khmer Rouge trial, which was sitting in the capital of the victimized society. And the Trust Fund for Victims was created by the Roma Statute, and its role is regarded as one of the main factor of the justice to be provided by the ICC. And this is, in fact, the first of such efforts in the area of international criminal justice. I myself had some similar experiences when I was an international judge of the Khmer Rouge trials, but there was some legal and practical restrictions, and justice for victims was quite challenging. One of such reasons was the reparations for victims under the Khmer Rouge trials could be shaped only as moral and collective reparations, excluding any kind of financial or individual reparations. And in the absence of any financial support, including the trust fund for such purposes, the actual reparations order had to be somewhat symbolic, but even symbolic reparations usually cost something. For example, to create monuments for victims, that cost something. And in all of the cases before the Khmer Rouge trials, all the other charged persons were indigent, and there was no material resource for victims to be provided. Against that background, I'm expecting a little more with this trust fund for victims, which seems to be in a better position to provide real justice or satisfaction to the wide range of victims. Its mandate is roughly divided into two. One is to execute court-ordered reparations. This is the core and first function provided in the Rome Statute. And because of the first ever conviction by the ICC in this March, this first function is to be realized, triggered recently. The second mandate of the TFB is to provide physical or psychological support or material support to the wide range of victims or their families, which is under the jurisdiction of the court. So this so-called assistance mandate does not limit its scope to the legally charged crimes. Instead, this assistance mandate can be initiated soon after the investigation has started by the Office of the Prosecutor, and does not need to wait until the conviction is rendered by relevant chambers. So far, the TFB has already conducted several or dozens of programs or projects for the assistance of victims in northern Uganda or DRC, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, covering 84,000 individuals already. And this second mandate, assistance mandate activities, is to be continued even with the start of first mandate soon. So to provide you with some concrete image of activities of this fund, I would like to show you a short video by created by this trust fund. This is about 15 minutes. Let me start.
In July 1998, 120 nations voted for the Rome Statute, making a universal and permanent commitment to end impunity and promote a new era of global justice that could satisfy the rights and needs of victims.
The International Criminal Court is now in session.
The Rome Statute created the International Criminal Court to prosecute those most responsible for war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide committed after the 1st of July 2002. To address the harms suffered by the victims of these crimes, Article 79 of the Rome Statute established a fund for the benefit of victims and their families, the Trust Fund for Victims. The Trust Fund for Victims is the first of its kind in the history of international criminal law. Through donations from the international community and the delivery of reparations ordered against the convicted, the Trust Fund provides physical rehabilitation, material support, and psychological rehabilitation to victims of crimes under the jurisdiction of the ICC. The Trust Fund for Victims works with victim survivors of rape and other forms of sexual violence, children forced into armed groups, victims of torture and mutilation, and more. In 2008, it established a field presence in northern Uganda, where a brutal war killed tens of thousands and left millions displaced. and in the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the world's deadliest ongoing conflict since the Second World War.
For the last over 2 decades ago, northern part of Uganda, I think we all know, has been having insurgency. And there are so many things that took place during all these years. And that is how Trust Fund for Victims came in to provide support through AFC organization.
Yeah, you go beyond go to anywhere. I'd get a good word and a bit of macadam. You go beyond and go out. I was a cat watch you go to a dog. I'd go out to anywhere.
Carmen, Quan Bill, take it when you wear art. No, can hang on. I take art go. Take Chow Bill, La K, one, Pamaj, no.
With the post-war burn victims, plastic surgery, what we do, we go to the field where we do identification, we assess, and then we arrange with the doctors from Interplast.
Hand on the graph and you do. That's right.
They're sending the pictures to me, so I can see them before I come here and say, okay, this one can be operated, this one is not fit for operation, or doesn't need operation. And Trust Fund is mainly supporting them financially and logistically to make this possible.
She been on a burra to train water, re-water wang, one burra one down a deck. Nagamaju wang, na to can you can the chopper, it in on the wang to tower. She chan and one wait. Chu borrow do kitty. Chu chow water, duck or you don't pain kitty. She done a chow quan you care kitty. A jack of kitty. She a chow woman walk on their end. And much a man of war and a donor kind, doing very kit.
In 4 years, I think that we have been receiving help from the Trust Fund for Victims. So far, we have done 3 plastic surgery camps. At the moment, I can say the number that we have reached out through plastic surgery can reach 100.
Anh can put piano and not you can me what Puno Papur can make you late and gang quan ben or Naya. Chiman Madame no Tiana da Chigapu. Timojam Mugumin Manonga Chane. We are a teacher located in a gang quan cobetini. You are a poor project in a bed.
We still have people who are crying for support, for further support from the Trust Fund. We have amputees due to war who have never been fitted. There are those who have been fitted for the first, for the second time, but because the nature of the limb, the nature of these processes, for an adult, after every 2 years has to be replaced. And for a child, every 6 months, the processes has to be replaced. So it's my request that the project should still be able to support these clients or these patients further.
Village Saving and Loan Association.
Siane mua poni ana no sile adi miareyo awelo gidie.
Watu ambao wanatusaidia ni fo victime inatusaidia kwa masomo, kwa njia ya dawa na batoto meme tasi ba eleve ile pale tunashukuru sana.
Le conflit en Ituri était basé sur en fait un conflit ethnique. Après les événements, après les hostilités, la guerre qui a eu lieu, le projet a été jugé de la nécessité de démobiliser, de sortir les enfants qui ont été enrôlés dans les groupes armés, qui ont fait la guerre, et de les aider à retourner dans la communauté, à retourner en famille.
Tukua uchungu juu mtoto alienda na ule soda, kisha nyewe kwenda kuona wanamrudisha mtoto na kuna bebe.
Mie nilikuwa kwa Medu, kule kwa Medu balikuwa taka kutuua vile, njoo wakati nyewe alinibebeshaka mimba naye alikimbia.
Kuna tia kule.
Nous avons créé une école spéciale de rattrapage pour permettre aux filles de récupérer les retards, mais aussi une crèche pour permettre aux filles de déplacer les bébés et d'aller à l'école.
Tulitoka kwanza kule kupori tuko batatu tunakia na mamimba.
Kisha kuwa baba na mama balikamataka bafie 5 bakaenda bakatubaka.
Mtaniwa mniwa na kunirudisha mnirudisha. Wakasema kuna habari ya kuua na habari ya kurudisha, hapo tu wanapenda bataniviole. Mimi nikasema hapa mimi sitaitika ile, kama kuniua mniue tu. Bakanifunga kamba, bakanipiga, ule bwana akaniviole.
L'école est un instrument, est un élément capital qui facilite la réinsertion de la fille, qui contribue au changement de l'image de la fille vis-à-vis de la communauté, vis-à-vis de sa famille, mais vis-à-vis d'elle-même aussi. Une fois que la fille va à l'école, la fille va se rendre compte que ce n'est pas le bébé, en fait, qui est l'objet de son malheur, mais c'est plutôt une victime comme elle-même.
Wakati mimi nanja soma kwetu bananikamata sawa mtoto ya nyumba.
Le traumatisme que nous avons trouvé dans ces filles, au départ, c'était, si vous voulez, elles ne se sentaient pas comme les mêmes autres élèves. Mais alors, avec l'exercice, avec l'évolution, en tout cas, elles se sont retrouvées de façon qu'elles se retrouvent maintenant sur les mêmes pieds d'égalité que les autres élèves des autres écoles. Et c'est là que nous avons trouvé que c'est positif. Ce traumatisme a disparu.
Mama yake na bali batoto wanaenda kwa masomo, kisha masomo wanafika bamkamata mtoto wanarudi nayo nyumbani.
Ce que nous pouvons demander aux bailleurs, qui est le fonds profit des victimes, et aux autres bailleurs qui peuvent être intéressés par ce programme, c'est de nous donner le moyen à pouvoir mettre en place un programme à long terme. Nous souhaiterions que ce programme soit développé dans d'autres régions de l'Ituri, dans d'autres territoires, dans d'autres zones de l'Ituri.
Na pili, niko napenda nirudie kwa masomo.
The Trust Fund for Victims supports victims individually and collectively to recognize their harm suffered, provide rehabilitation supports such as health care and trauma-based counseling, and promote reconciliation at the individual, family, and community levels.
Nous nous retrouvons à plus de 200 km de la ville de Bunia, précisément dans le territoire de Maïgi. Le territoire de Maïgi, c'est parmi les autres territoires qui bénéficient du projet à l'école de la paix.
L'éducation, c'est la base même de la société. Et avant que cette formation ne soit pas là, les enfants ne savaient pas comment faut-il, n'est-ce pas, distinguer ce qui est mauvais, ce qui est bien. Nous demandons que ce projet puisse continuer. Parce que vous connaissez, la jeunesse, c'est la société d'aujourd'hui et de demain.
With the support from our donors and local partners, the Trust Fund for Victims is developing an unprecedented model of reparative justice, a concrete manifestation of the Rome Statute's commitment to respecting the rights and needs of victims and their communities.
As you see, the activities of the trust fund is very diverse, and it includes not only the provision of physical surgery or traumatic care. It also covers the educational needs, or sometimes the financial support, which allowed women to buy a goat to support her daily living. And as I mentioned, the trust fund is an institution already envisaged by the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court, but the funding for the fund is fundamentally voluntary contribution, and the voluntary contribution may come from the government or corporations or individuals or groups, and for the time being, most of the donations came from the governments of European countries. In particular, major donors include Germany, Netherlands, and Northern European states. The board of directors are composed of 5 board members representing each continent or a regional group of the ICC, and one of the board of directors' responsibility is to raise awareness and promote fundraising, especially in the region that he or she represents. So in my case, I will try to do this among the Asian region, in particular those state parties of the International Criminal Court from the Asia. As the video said, this is the first of this its kind, very challenging mechanism, unprecedented mechanism, full of challenges, because most of the situations currently before the ICC is ongoing conflicts in northern Uganda or the DRC or in Central Africa, Sudan, Darfur, Sudan, Libya or Cote d'Ivoire. All of these situations are not settled, and it's very difficult to provide meaningful support in these remote cities or villages still under the threat of numerous kinds. So the video showed that all of these trust fund activities are being helped or supported by TFB's partners institutions. Many of them are local or international NGOs who have some kind of field presence in the conflict affected areas. Trust Fund for Victims itself is a very small organization composed of 5 board of directors and less than 10 staff in The Hague. So what we can do is to invite project or program proposal from the interested NGOs or institutions and select appropriate programs or project for each regions or cases, and allocate appropriate funds to such projects or programs. At present, the total amount of the remaining balance of the trust fund is a little more than 3 million euro. This is not small amount of money, but considering the potential number of victims or their families, typically thousands or tens of thousands or even millions of victims who needs the support. This current balance in the trust fund is by far not sufficient level. So the trust fund has been encouraging the further voluntary contributions from interested state parties or corporations or individuals, and on this opportunity I like to do that for Japanese people. So if you I don't think you are millionaires yourself, so perhaps if you know somebody who may support this initiative, I'll be grateful for contacting such persons or corporations if necessary. So I stop talking and would return the microphone to the moderator. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And we'd like to go into the next stage, Q&A, and we receive questions. And if you have any question, please raise your hand and use the microphone and identify yourself. Anyone has a question? Okay.
Hello, thank you for the presentation. My name is Kari Hakanen. I'm from the I'm from the Finnish embassy, and you talked a little bit about what you want to do as during your time as a board of directors. But could you elaborate on your ambitions, like where you want the TFV to head, or what you hope to accomplish other than fundraising? Thank you.
Thank you. I first thank Finnish government, which is obviously one of the major donors. And as you know, the present chairperson of the board is Ms. Elizabeth Slen from Finland. And the trust fund is benefited from the support of the Finnish government and people very much. In Japan, I would say that the International Criminal Court has not attracted sufficient interest and support from the general population. There may be some reasons, but perhaps one of the reasons is all of the situation and cases currently being addressed by the court is from African continent, and suffering there might be felt as a little bit too remote for normal Japanese citizens. So what I should perhaps do is firstly to raise awareness and interest of the Japanese people in the ICC itself, and then the Trust Fund for Victims and its activities. And also the fact that there is one director from Asian region might assist Asian countries which are now preparing for the accession to the Rome Statute. The Asian region is the least represented region in the world before the ICC, and it has been one of the major issue to be imminently tackled by the ICC for the last 10 years. The ICC is promoting the idea of universality, which means that the ICC as an international court truly represents the benefit of the entire globe. However, in some regards, the ICC has yet to achieve such situation, including the absence of 3 states out of P5 countries of the Security Council, and visible under representation from Asian countries. So that perhaps I could do first. Thank you.
Any more question? Okay. Okay, if there are no more questions, we try to close the session. Thank you very much, Mr. Noguchi.
Thank you.